Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dora. If you're a first timer, thank you for coming by, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for always coming back to watch these videos. I love you. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. So on today's tutorial, you're going to be learning how to make this beautiful dress, a tube dress with this rope at the neck. And this video is inspired by a Pinterest video that I recreated for my client for her birthday shoot. So after this video, you're going to see my client wearing this outfit. If this is what you want to learn, please just stay tuned and let's get straight into today's tutorial. So on the table, I had already marked all the horizontal lines, and here are the measurements I'm going to be using. Bust 39, waist 30, hip 45, bust point of 11, under bust 15, length of gown 62. And to get the bust line, I divided her bust by 6 and added 1.5, so making 8 inches. You can just go back and go through it to understand that and the measurements I used. So I'm just going to mark her shoulder divided by 2 on the shoulder line and also on the bust line. I'm going to connect it with a straight ruler like so. So I'm going to mark the normal neck of 3 inches just for me to get the 1 inch slope on the shoulder, and I'm going to connect it with a straight ruler. So I'm going to input a bust measurement. To get the armhole, I divided that line by 2 and I marked 0.75 and I connected it to a bust point. About divided by 4 is 9.75. I just marked it and I connected those 3 points together with a French curve. So after connecting it together, I'm going to go ahead and mark her bust band. Bust band divided by 2 is 4 inches. I'm going to mark it on the under bust, waist and the bust point line. I'm going to connect it, but I'm going to stop at that 1 inch so that my the bustier of the bustier is not going to be too pointy. So I'm just going to mark 1 inch towards the side seam and half an inch towards the center, and I'm going to curve it from that 1 inch I came down to the 1 inch on the under bust line, just like that. And I'm going to roll it down to the waistline with a straight ruler. So I'm just going to find the middle of the shoulder and I'm going to connect it together with a straight line. So I'm going to use so now I'm going to come down to get the neckline. I'm going to come down by half an inch from the bust line, and I'm going to go up a little bit on the bust line towards the center front because I don't want it to be too low there. So I went down half an inch towards the side and I went up 1 inch. So I'm just going to tighten it with 0.5 each in between those lines. I'm just going to tighten it like so, and I'm just going to start inputting our waist measurements basically. So our waist divided by 4 is 7.5. I marked 7.5 plus 1.5 for the that I took. So I'm going to do the same thing for our under bust divided by 4 plus the that I took, and I'm going to connect it to the bust line, bust measurement. So, and I'm just going to connect that with a French curve. So to get her bust that, or her side that rather, I'm just going to come down by 1.5 inches because our waist half length for back and front are not the same. So the difference between our front and back half length is 1.5. So, and that is what I'm using for the side that. So I just folded that line to get a perfect neckline because I don't want it to be giving bent shape. So I just folded those dots and I remarked the neckline, and we are done for the front. So these are just what we need. I'm going to cut it out. So I'm going to cut it through the dots, and I'm just going to cut the side. I'll go ahead to fold that dot and staple it down with a paper tape. So after doing that, I'm just going to cut the remaining one out. So I'm just going to go ahead. We are done with the front. I'm going to go ahead to also draft the back. So the same thing we did for the front. I've marked our bust line. What we just need for the back is bust, waist, and shoulder. So I'm going to mark the shoulder divided by 2 on the bust line, and also on the shoulder line. I'm going to connect it and get the armhole just like the front. I'm going to mark our bust divided by 4, and I'm going to mark the normal neckline 3 inches. I'll come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope. Connect it with a straight ruler. Now we divide that line by 2 from the slope to the bust line. So I'm just going to come in by 0.5. Remember, we came in by 0.75 for the front, but for the back we are coming in by 0.5. So I'm going to connect it like so. So you can just skip all these parts if you know your way through, but I'm doing this for the beginners so that you understand. So now I came out by 0.75 on that back, that's the zipper side. You know our back is deep, so I just came out by 0.7. I went in by 0.75 so that it will lap properly. So and then after that I marked our waist divided by 4. I connected it to the bust. So I'm just going to maintain that line, which is what I did on the bust. So I'm just going to come down by 1/2 inch. So, and I'm going to mark it, connect it to the bust line like so, and then I'll cut it out. So that is all for the upper body of this dress. So I'm going to go ahead now to cut the skirt part, which is the lower body. So for the skirt, I already came down by 1 inch from the for the waistline. So the 1 inch will represent the waistline. I'm just going to mark up hip divided by 4. You can also use 8.5 inches. I use 8.5. You can use 8.5 to 9 inches. It's fine for the hip that is not too big. So I'm going to input a hip divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I added a waist divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch sewing allowance. I'm just going to connect with a French curve rather. So I'm just minusing excuse me, I'm minusing a half length for minusing a half length to get the full length of the dress. The length we are using is 62, so I'm minusing a half length, and I usually use half length for the back to get the length. So, and I also, to pencil it, I remove 2 inches from the hip line. Whatever I got from the hip, I removed 2 inches. So I got 11.2 thereabouts. So, and I removed 2 inches to get the pencil. So for the end part of it, I marked 9.2, and I also added 1.5 inch sewing allowance. So I'm connecting it to the hip line also. And that is all for the front. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut it out. I also added 1/2 inch to the waistline, and I'm going to go ahead to cut it out. So I added 2 inches for the hemline, and I'm just going to roll it together with a straight line and then cut it out. So that is all for the front. I also went ahead to cut lining for it, and I removed 2 inches for the hem part so that it will fold inside to give us a nice hem. So this is the back. I just marked out the zipper allowance of 1.5 inches by the side first. That's the fold area. I already marked out 1.5 inches. You know, this is a white dress, so I didn't want to mark the chalk too deep so that it won't stain, but I still try it as much as possible. So I just marked the hip line, and then I marked her waist divided by 4 with sewing allowance. So, but for the back, we are going to be doing some contouring. That's the hip. So before doing curving it, I remember I removed 0.75 along the zipper side. Remember, I removed 0.75 for the front, so I'm going to remove the same thing for the back. So on that waistline, just remove it and connect it back to your hip line as seen. Right, so I'm just going to return the zipper allowance. I'm going to connect it back. So that's 0.75. You're going to add it back to the waist. Yeah. Then I'll now connect I also added 1 inch for that because I wanted to add that to the back. So I'm just going to connect it to the hip line. So for the contour, I'm just going to measure. You see, that's 0.75. I'm trying to explain that I added it back, so you won't make mistake. If whatever you remove, you add it back. So I removed 0.75 and I added it back. So to get the contour, I marked 16 to 17 inches from the waistline, and I went in by 1 inch just to give the hip a nice curve at the back. So, and I'm going to curve it with my French curve, just like so. And whatever I got there, I'm just going to roll it straight down with a roller. So whatever I got there, that 1 inch I went in after the zipper allowance, I'm just going to mark the 1 inch down, straight down. So the same thing we did for the front. Her hip, I removed 2 inches. That's 9.2. So I'm just going to mark it from that 1 inch that I already removed for the contour. So I'm just going to mark it, and I'll connect it with a straight roller. So you see the way the hip is curved and looking very nice already. So then I'll now replace the zipper allowance. Please just remember to replace it. If you cannot do this on fabric as a beginner, please, I will advise you do it on a pattern. I ran out of pattern paper, and that is why I'm doing it on the fabric direct. But if you cannot do this, you can see I even mistakenly cut the hemline. So if you know you cannot do this as a beginner, please just do whatever I did on this dress. Do it on the fabric, do it on the pattern directly, so you won't make the same mistake that I did. And then for the fabric, please try to get a stretchy fabric. I couldn't find a stretchy fabric. I just made use of what I saw. That is why I doubled it. I doubled this fabric. I made it the lining and the main fabric, right? But if you can get a stretchy fabric that is thick and is not transparent, you can work with it as well. So I'm just marking the dart. Remember, we added that allowance to the back. So, and I'm just going to cut it out. You see, I forgot to add the hem allowance. I just remembered when I already cut a little bit, but it didn't really affect it because it was on the sewing allowance already. So don't make the same mistake. Work on your pattern paper, please. So I'm just going to transfer the dart to the back. I'm going to give it a notch there, and I'll transfer it to the other side. So we are done with all the cutting. So I'm just going to cut the lining for the front and the back. So I'm also pinning the upper parts, and I added all the required measurements. I added 1.5 inch for the zipper side and also 1.5 inch for the side seam. Please always work with pin. It will just make your work faster and easier. I like working with pin all the time. So I'm adding 0.5 on the top and on the bottom, and then 1.5 inch by the zipper side and the side seam. And I'm just going to cut it out. So I'm going to cut the front as well. I added 0.5 by the center, and I'm going to add 0.5 by the upper part and lower part, and then 1.5 by the side. This ruler is really helpful. I've used it and I'm still managing. So if you have this ruler, it just helps you add allowance to your fabric with ease, guys, with ease. And it's very fast. So I'm gonna have to cut the lining for the upper part too. I've cut the lining for the back and the front, and I'm just going to go ahead to join it. I'm going to join the front and the back. I'm going to join all the pieces together. So I went ahead to notch the zipper side so that we'll be able to recognize it. And then I'll go ahead to join the side and the neck, just basically everything. Put the pieces together. I'm going to be using a already made bra cup for this outfit because I don't want to add any interfacing. I don't want the color to change or anything, so I'll go ahead to sew the darts and also join the hemming. I've gonna I had to also cut the lining for the skirt part as well, and I removed 2 inches from the hem of the lining, not the main fabric, the hem of the lining. I've removed 2 inches. You can see I removed 2 inches, so I'm just going to join them together and I'll come back to show you. So I've joined the center of the front and I've given it a good press, and I just want to show you how I added the bra cup. This is just like an extra because I just wanted to show you everything on this dress. I just marked the midpoint of the cup from the top to the bottom, and then I'm going to locate the mind you, this is the lining that I'm working on. You see the way I'm going to place it on it. So I'll locate the underbust measurement. So after locating the underbust measurement, I'm just going to place the cup. You see the cup is facing up, like it's facing you. The cup is going to stand as if you're wearing it already. You see on the lining, like the part that is popping out is going to face you, so that the inside will create enough space just the way how deep that cup is how deep you're going to create the space for the lining, see. And then you're just going to tack it down like that at the under bust line and also at the top line. So those two marks, you're just going to tack them down like that. Remember to create space. Don't drag the fabric. Create that space because we already drafted the bustier. So the space for the cup, for the space to accommodate the cup is there. So just use your hand to push it in. So you see how it is now. You see that there is enough space for it to accommodate the bust. So I'm just going to repeat the same on the other side. So I repeated the same. I'm just going to cover it up with the main fabric. See, I repeated the same on the other side. So I'll cover it up with the main fabric and I'm going to sew it by 0.5, just like that. And I'll sew the sides too. So I've gone ahead to join all the pieces together, the skirt parts, and I've given it okay. I'm just sewing the inside. You see the way the fold at the hem rather. You see the way it came out really nice. So it just makes your work neat. Like I said, if you had a stretchy fabric, a stretchy crepe, because I used a crepe and I used 3.5 yard for this project. So if you have a stretchy fabric, you shouldn't use more than 2 yards, right? But because I'm trying to make this the lining of the dress, that's why I bought 3.5 yards. So I'm just pushing all those sewing. You see the way the down came out. So just give it a very nice press, and I'm going to come back to show you what I have. I've also gone ahead to sew the darts. I've sewn the upper parts. I've notched I've top stitched the neckline and the side. You see the way the cup is already standing, you see. So I've gone ahead to also join the side, the back, the side and the neck. So I'll go and give it a good press and I'll come back to show you. So after ironing everything, I'm just going to join the waistline. See, I've ironed it and it's looking very nice. So I'm just going to join the waist of the front and back together with 0.5. So I also join the back together. So after joining it, I'm going to also join the zipper side. You see, after joining it, I'm going to pin it down. Like I said, I like working with pins. I'm going to pin the side seam down. I like pinning from the front because I shape from the front. So I flipped it over to the front and I'm going to pin it down like so. So I ran out of the crepe. That is why I didn't use it for the upper part. So if you also could not find a stretchy fabric and you want to buy like a non-stretchy crepe like mine, you can buy 4 yards. I think 4 yards is on the safe side. I had to use another white material for the lining of the upper part. So I'm just going to go ahead to measure her bust divided by 4. The bust is divided by 2, and I'm just going to shape it. Her bust is 39 divided by 2 will give us 19.5. So I'm just going to mark 19.5. So I will divide what I got there by 2 and I'll mark it on the 2 sides. I repeated the same on the waist and on the hip as well. 4. I'm going to also put our hip measurement divided by 2. Divided by 2. Our hip is 45. So to get our hip line, remember I use 8.5. So I'm marking the 8.5 to get the hip line. So I'm going to measure our hip divided by 2, which is 22.5. So I'm going to distribute what I have there on the 2 sides. Then I'm going to connect it with a French curve from the waist. So I'm just going to go ahead to join the side, add the zipper, and then I'm going to show you the final look of this dress. So for the rope, I didn't know that I didn't shoot the video of the rope. So just sew like a 2 or 3 inches rope on the neck, right? You can make it a detachable rope or not. Just play around the rope. I even see people like use the rope to like just create any style. You can wrap it around their neck, because my customer didn't want the rope to be attached to the dress. She just wanted it detachable, so I made it a detachable rope. Just make a rope of maybe 2 inches or 3 inches thereabout, with maybe length of 20 to 25 inches. It's fine. So we have come to the end of this tutorial. If you've watched to this point, thank you for watching. This is my client wearing it, and thank you. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.